My brother ruined every important moment of my life, so I exposed him at his wedding. My brother ruined every important moment of my life. Graduations. Birthdays. Relationships. Jobs. Funerals. If it mattered to me, he found a way to poison it. And for years, everyone said the same thing. He doesn't mean it like that. That's just how he is. You're overreacting. They only stopped saying it the night I exposed him at his own wedding with proof he never imagined I had. My brother Daniel is 2 years older than me. Growing up, he was the golden child. Charming. Loud. Funny. The kind of guy adults loved because he looked confident and harmless. I was the quiet one. The observer. The one who noticed things. Daniel noticed that too. From the time we were kids, he hated one thing more than anything else's. Attention that wasn't on him. If my parents praised my grades, he'd suddenly forget to mention a problem he was having until the moment dinner started. If relatives complimented me, he'd interrupt with a story about himself. If something went well for me, something had to go wrong immediately after. At first, I thought it was sibling rivalry. Then I realized it was something else. It was deliberate. The first time I really understood was my high school graduation. I was valedictorian. I worked my ass off for that. Late nights. No parties. No shortcuts. My parents were proud. My grandparents flew in. Even Daniel pretended to be supportive. Right up until the ceremony started. 10 minutes before I was supposed to walk on stage, Daniel accidentally told my parents he'd been suspended from college for plagiarism. Not weeks earlier. Not days earlier. Right then. My mom burst into tears. My dad went pale. The entire focus shifted. By the time my name was called, my parents were whispering urgently in the stands instead of watching me. After the ceremony, instead of congratulations, everyone wanted to talk about Daniel. He hugged me afterward and whispered, "Congrats, man." Then he smiled. That pattern repeated for years. When I got my first serious girlfriend, Daniel suddenly confessed to our parents that he was depressed and needed support. When I landed my first real job, he announced he was quitting his because his boss was toxic. When I moved into my own apartment, he showed up drunk and caused a scene. Every milestone of mine became a backdrop for his crisis. And somehow, I always ended up looking like the selfish one for being annoyed. The worst was relationships. Daniel had a gift for poisoning them. He'd casually say things to my girlfriends like, "You know he's always been kind of insecure, right?" Or, "He doesn't talk about his past much, probably for a reason." Nothing specific. Just enough doubt. 2 relationships ended because my partners said they felt like something was off about me. Daniel would console me afterward like a hero. "You deserve better," he'd say. And then he'd sleep just fine. By the time I was 27, I'd learned an important lesson. Daniel didn't want my life. He wanted control over it. As long as he could affect my happiness, he felt powerful. And the scariest part? He thought he was invisible. The turning point came when I met Laura. Laura was different. She paid attention. She listened. She noticed how tense I got whenever Daniel was mentioned. And unlike everyone else, she didn't excuse it. "He doesn't sabotage you accidentally," she said once. "He times it." That sentence stuck with me. Because she was right. So I started doing something new. I stopped confronting him. I stopped reacting. And instead, I started watching. Quietly. Carefully. I noted dates. Messages. Timing. Patterns. And once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. Daniel always acted out right before something good happened to me. Never during his own events. Never randomly. And he always did it in a way that made me look unreasonable if I objected. I wasn't his victim. I was his stage. Then Daniel got engaged. To Megan. Megan was kind. Naive. And completely taken in by his charm. The family was thrilled. Wedding plans moved fast. And that's when Daniel made his biggest mistake. He assumed I was still the same quiet, passive little brother. 2 months before the wedding, Daniel pulled me aside. "You're my best man," he said. "You'll give a speech, right?" I smiled and agreed. Inside, I made a decision. If he wanted a stage, I'd give him the biggest one of his life. I spent weeks preparing. Not emotionally. Logistically. I backed up messages. Saved voicemails. Screen-recorded social media activity. I documented everything. I didn't rush. Because real exposure isn't loud. It's precise. 3 weeks before the wedding, Daniel slipped up. He texted me complaining that Megan was too emotional and starting to get annoying. Then he sent another message, accidentally. It was meant for someone else. It said. Relax. He's still clueless. Always has been. I didn't respond. I just saved it. Then Laura found something. Daniel had been messaging one of her friends. Flirting. Testing boundaries. Fishing for validation. All while planning his wedding. We took screenshots. Dated. Timestamped. Still, I waited. Because I wasn't done. The wedding was beautiful. Outdoor venue. String lights. Long tables. Speeches planned. Daniel looked confident. Relaxed. Untouchable. He had no idea what was coming. When it was time for speeches, the maid of honor went first. Then my parents. Then Daniel stood up, glass raised, smiling like a man who thought he'd won. I couldn't have done any of this without my little brother, he said. He's always been there for me. People laughed. I smiled too. Then it was my turn. I stood up calmly. No shaking. No anger. Just clarity. I've known Daniel my entire life, I began. And for a long time, I believed I was the problem. People nodded. I thought I was too sensitive. Too quiet. Too dramatic. Daniel smiled proudly. Then I said. But some things only make sense once you look at the pattern. The room quieted. I want to show you something. I pulled out my phone. Connected it to the screen Daniel had arranged for photos. He frowned. What's this? He whispered. Context, I said. And I pressed play. The first clip was a voicemail. Daniel's voice. Mocking. Laughing about ruining my graduation by dropping a bomb at the perfect time. Silence fell over the crowd. Then screenshots appeared. Messages where Daniel admitted sabotaging my relationships. Laughing about it. Calling me predictable. People shifted uncomfortably. Megan's smile disappeared. Then came the flirting messages. Dated. Explicit. Sent during wedding planning. Megan stood up slowly. Daniel's face drained of color. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't insult him. I just kept going. This isn't revenge, I said. This is accountability. I turned to Megan. You deserve to know who you're marrying. Daniel tried to speak. I cut him off. No. You've talked enough. The room was dead silent. No music. No laughter. Just truth. I ended my speech with one sentence. You've spent your whole life controlling the narrative. Tonight, you don't get to. Then I sat down. The wedding ended early. Megan left. Guests whispered. My parents cried. Daniel didn't look angry. He looked exposed. Which was worse? I left quietly. I didn't argue. I didn't celebrate. I just walked away. The next morning, my phone was full of messages. Some angry. Some apologetic. Some stunned. Daniel didn't message me. He blocked me everywhere. Which told me everything I needed to know. People ask if I regret it. I don't. Because for the first time in my life, my story didn't get hijacked. And neither will the rest of my future.